report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull when you tune in to the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. You got Craig and TK and Heather D. Tune in at the fish report.
Coming to you live from Studio F in Russia, Ohio. It's the Fish Report Live Show with your hosts, Craig Fissinger and Ken Francis.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Fish Report Live. I'm Craig Fissinger. That is Ken Francis. We're your hosts. Thanks for joining us. Back in our sound room tonight, you know who it is. It's TK and Heavy D. We'll be talking to them a little bit later in the program. And out in Studio R, it's Cohee and Kearns. Always excited to talk to them. Ken, a big week, lots to talk about. It's regional tournament weekend.
Yes, it is, Craig. What a weekend we've got for us, Craig. We're going to talk some high school baseball, Craig. We're going to talk about the big regional and Division IV over there at Wittenberg in Springfield. Can't wait to talk to two-time player of the year in Russia high school baseball player Hunter Cohee. We're also going to talk some track and field. We're going to go out to TK and Kearns, or Kearns and Cohee, and we're going to recap some softball out there, talk a little bit of regional softball, Craig. Big D4 matchup in Greenville Saturday morning. If you're a sports fan and all, you're going to want to go over to Greenville and watch the big battle between Parkway star Haley Hawk and Bradford star Skip Miller. What a weekend we've got in sports.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that here in just a little bit, but let's get to tonight's poll question. You mentioned Wittenberg. That's the subject of tonight's question.
Yes, it is, Craig. Southwest Region D4. Wittenberg always hosts a fantastic regional over there. Russia, Fort Laramie, Minster, three local teams, and Cincinnati Christian, Craig. Which of these four teams do you feel will come out of this region? Of course, last year it was the Russia Raiders and Minster actually facing each other in the state championship game, Craig. This year there's a possibility those two teams could face in a regional championship game, as the 2 o'clock game has Russia taking on Cincinnati Christian. In the 5 o'clock game, Fort Laramie versus Minster. So great games over there scheduled for Wittenberg in Springfield tomorrow at 2 o'clock and 5 o'clock.
Tell me something on that. Is that done? You said last year Minster and Russia met in the state. Of course, this year it's in the regional tournament. Is that done intentionally, lining those two districts up, or to play in the regional to keep two teams that are close to each other from playing, or is it just random?
No, it's just kind of a random poll, Craig. This year I know Newark Catholic slid up to Division III. That was the team that typically that region came over to balance that region out. Craig, this year they're not around, so somebody else could have came out of that region, but I think it's just a play of numbers, and who goes where, and honestly, there's probably a little bit of politics involved. If the guys in charge are over in a different region and they said, hey, we really don't want Minster over in this region this year, how about we send them over to Wittenberg and let the MAC and the Shelby County League battle it out for a ticket to Columbus. That'd make it a lot easier for us. So who knows? There's probably some politics, but it's just all a matter of numbers.
All right, well, if you're watching us tonight on the Fish Report Live page or on your phones, your computers, you can help us answer tonight's poll question. Tell us who's coming out of that Southwest Regional. Just scroll down there on your screen, check your result, and you can check your answers. If you're watching us on NK Telco, TK is going to be there at the end of the show giving you the results. But Ken, let's get things started. You mentioned some track. It was day one of the regional Southwest Regional Division III there down at Troy. They run a lot of qualifying races tonight to see who's going to make the finals for Friday, and they run a few finals. And we do have a few locals that we want to mention that are moving on to state. They take the top four individuals there, or top four teams, and in the 4x8, in first place, the Minster Wildcats, and third place was West Liberty Salem, and fourth place was Fort Laramie, all moving on to state. The boys 4x8, Fort Laramie won that one. We had Arcanum in second, and third place was Houston. They're all moving on to state. Some field events in the girls high jump. Just one local girl, Ellie Rechterman, over from New Bremen. She finished fourth. She's going to state. Girls shot put, Lauren Christian, we talked about her last week when we interviewed Raina Horner on this show. She got first in the shot, no surprise there. In second place was Grace Holman, a girl we know very well from Bakken. She's going to state. And then Erin Scoff over there at New Knoxville in third place. She's going to state. Boys pole vault, Jet Murphy, always love that name. We've talked about that before. He won that along with Brooke Shellhouse from Ansonia, and his teammate Matthew Shook was in fourth place. They're going to state. Couple more events, and the boys long jump. Just one local, Jarrett Meyer from Fort Laramie there. The senior's done very well this year. He got second place. He's going to state. And then finally in the boys discus, John Dirksen, the Notre Dame commit there for football, he finished runner-up. And then Max Pranger, a very good discus thrower there and a shot putter as well, but he finished third there for Minster. He's going to state. So some kids already moving on. And this year they got a little wrinkle in it, don't they, the OHSAA?
Yeah, they do, Craig. Since they got 9 lanes on Jesse Owens over there in Columbus, they're actually having 2 wild cards that in the running events. So of all the region, the 4 regions, the top 4 fastest qualifiers in the region get an automatic bid, and then they take all of the other school or all of the other runners, the 5th or 6th place team, whatever it might be, and whoever has the 2 fastest times of all of those other teams there or individuals get to also go. So kind of a neat 2 little wild cards thrown into it this year. Gives the 5th place team a lot of little extra confidence there that there's a chance that they could make the trip to Columbus.
Yeah, you got to run hard. And a perfect example tonight, the Russia girls ran the 4x8, got 5th place, and was watching the scoreboard there at the end. There was one team up in the Massillon Perry region that had a better time than them, so that was the 17th team. They were waiting for that 18th result. The Tiffin Regional was late in reporting. They don't have any live scoring up there like the other regions do, so a lot of anticipation and stress, whatever you want to call it, till Tiffin finally did come in about 8:30. And Russia found out that they actually ended up finishing 19th, so those girls did make it. A little disappointing there, but you're right. It adds a lot more fun to it. Makes those 5th place teams run hard just in case. You never know.
That's right. So a lot of there'll be a lot more Bombs page watching throughout the rest of the weekend, particularly on Saturday, as all these the sprints and the mid distance and the distance races. Everybody looking to grab one of them wild card spots if you're the unfortunate 5th place runner.
Yeah, puts a few more seats or butts in the seats there up at Columbus next week too.
That's right.
All right. Well, let's change gears now. Talk a little softball. You mentioned that big matchup on Saturday. To find out exactly how that happened, let's go out to Studio R, check in with Cohee and Kearns. And guys, we're starting to wrap up the softball season here to the regional tournament. That Southwest, we was bracket very interested. Those games happened this afternoon, didn't they?
Yeah, they did over there at the Greenville Softball Complex. And we have a regional final of an experienced Parkway Panther team. They were actually the champions of the MAC conference. They were second to Minster. And we got the Railroaders of Bradford out of the Cross County Conference. This is Bradford's, I think, first ever regional final in a team sport, possibly, that I am aware of. So it'll be a very exciting matchup. You got stars on each side. You have Skip Miller on the side of Bradford. And you have 3-time MAC Player of the Year Haley Hawk on the other side for the Panthers.
Yeah, definitely going to be an exciting matchup. Although Parkway didn't win the MAC, I believe they're the last MAC's team that's standing. And they beat a very good team, Newark Catholic. I think they kind of missed their starting catcher who was suspended for the rest of the season, I believe. And so, yeah, they took care of them. I think the final score was 12-2, so they advanced to their, I don't know if it's been their first regional. It's the first time I've seen them in a regional in a while, so it's definitely going to be a great game between a team that's pretty experienced with a 3-time MAC Player of the Year and maybe a more inexperienced team of Bradford.
The Panthers actually, I did my research, they reached the 2010 Final Four, so they have been there before. They have a history of a decent softball history over there. I saw stuff early in the season where they really wanted to get to Columbus. Or Akron, over there at Firestone Stadium, where they've really been kind of struggling to get there, struggling to get out of that regional. And I'm going to take the Panthers in this ball game. Even though this Bradford team, very young team, you see over there people like Skip Miller, Bailey Wizong, Eliza Martinez. They have a lot of talented players over there. Very young. This Bradford team's exciting, and heck what, Sean Schaefer's got 3 more years with Skip Miller. But, I know you don't want to play around now with your freshmen. You want to win now what's in front of you because you aren't guaranteed what's happening next year because of an injury or something. But the Bradford has a bright future no matter what.
Yeah, I'd absolutely agree with that. Although Parkway had their 2010 Final Four appearance, so they definitely want to get back to Columbus. And also on Bradford's side, this is their first time ever being a regional. This could be their first state berth. So they're both sides have definitely big motivation to get there, and it's just going to be a game down to the wire.
Kobe, let me ask you a question here. Don't mean to interrupt you there, but I see some coaching in the future of you, and I'm going to put you on the seat right here, right off the bat. You're coaching the Bradford Railroaders right now. You've got Haley Hawk coming to the plate. You're winning 3-2 in the bottom of the 7th inning, and they got a runner on first base. Do you walk her, or do you pitch to her? Do you put that winning run on base, or do you intentionally walk Haley Hawk and get to that next batter?
How many outs do you have?
1 out.
1 out?
Mm-hmm.
I would probably pitch to her and see what happens. If you get down the count, maybe 3-0, then you walk her, put her on. But I'd pitch to her because at that point you could get a double play force out. I don't know her speed or anything, but if Miller's more talented than most pitchers in the area, so you could possibly get a ground ball. You can get a force out still what's in front of you. So I would not walk her. Actually, Hawk was intentionally walked 5 times tonight by the Newton Indians, which just is funny because our own Heavy D, when his son played Newton, they put him on about 3 times, I think, when they played in the district finals back in 2015. So it must just be a tendency of Newton liking to put on them big hitters instead of wanting to face them.
Well, and Parkway made him pay for it too. The one time the Bates girl came up after Hawk was intentionally walked and it hit one out of the park too.
How about you, Kearns? Being a pitcher, you'd pitch to her, right?
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't give her anything across the plate to hit. I'd definitely pick at the corner, see if I could, get her behind in the count, and then definitely play with her. But I definitely wouldn't give her anything to maybe square her up to give her for a ride.
It's just a coaching preference too. You see different coaches having their own style, but from being on a state team last year, I know what it takes to win is a lot of teams got to be laid back, and you can't let a big inning snowball into an even bigger inning. You have to limit the errors. Not just the physical ones are going to happen, but you can't let the mental ones happen either. Who's going to come up in the clutch time, and your next at-bat's your most important one. Just because you strike out doesn't mean you can go make a fielding error. You got a 4 ground balls can be just as important as your next big at-bat could be. That could be a big double. So you got to always be focused when you're on the field.
That's right.
All right, great stuff, guys, and thanks for that. And certainly, deciding whether to pitch to Haley Hawk is going to come into question on Saturday. You had Miller today. I saw at one point she had over 10 strikeouts. You got Hawk, on the other hand, who's got, I think they said she's leading the OHSAA career RBIs right now. So we're going to see that situation on Saturday. It'll be interesting to see how that works out.
Yes, it will. The MAC hasn't won a state championship in like 3 months. So in the CCC, I don't know when. It's been a while since they've won one, but it's been longer than 3 months, I believe. But anyways, good luck to both teams there. You got a CCC school versus a MAC school, but I got to tell you the truth, guys. I'm kind of pulling for the Bradford Railroaders here. They, it's been a long time since they've done anything, and they've got a great freshman pitcher there, so it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, going to be a lot of fun on Saturday, that's for sure. And we're going to take a short break, but stay right there when we come back. We're going to talk a lot of baseball, including that breaking down that Southwest Regional and our interview with Hunter Cohee.
My father said it's time to be home man, but don't go and tall in the motherland. When you were born with heart, raised on pride, this vinegar runs through your bloodline.
And welcome back to the second half of Fish Report Live. Before the break, we were talking some regional track and field, some regional softball. Now we're going to talk a little regional baseball, Ken, in that Southwest region coming up on Thursday down there at Wittenberg. A couple big games. Let's look at the bracket right now, and you tell me what we got.
Yeah, Craig, what a regional it's going to be with three teams there in the same region located, within 10 miles apart, or, with Fort Loramie in the middle there. You basically got adjacent school districts between Russia, Fort Loramie, and Minster. So, and then you throw Cincinnati Christian in there. So, the first game, 2:00 game, we got Russia versus Cincinnati Christian. Craig, I don't know a whole lot about Cincinnati Christian. I know they came back and won their district championship game against Franklin Monroe. Their record is like 17-7, I believe it is. They've got a pretty good pitcher. I know that the Raiders will be seen tomorrow. He's got a 9-1 overall record. I hear they're fairly aggressive on the base paths. They like to steal bases, but I think this is a Russia team with a lot of experience. Craig, they were the state runner-up last year. They've got a lot of kids back from that team. They've got some new kids in the team that have been playing varsity baseball all year, have been performing very well. I really like Coach Flippo's team right now, the way they've been playing. I think they've been hitting well. Their defense has been good. Their pitching's been outstanding all year. So I gotta feel Russia's a favorite in this first round matchup. Second game there, Craig, Minster Fort Loramie. Wow, what a game that's going to be. You got two great baseball programs. You got two great coaches. You've got a veteran coach versus a rookie coach, but take nothing away from Coach Sanders over there at Fort Loramie. He knows more about baseball than a lot of people, and Mike Wiss over at Minster. All he does is he's going for his third state championship in less than a year, Craig. So that guy just knows how to win. So it's going to be a great game between two rival schools right there. Great pitching matchup. I'm sure it's going to be Austin Brown from Minster against Jared Mittendorf from Fort Loramie. Two great pitchers, I don't know. It's just going to be one good game.
All right. Well, you mentioned those Russia Raiders, and of course, one big reason for their success is their senior pitcher over there, Hunter Cohee, and we're happy to have him live on the phone right now. Hunter, welcome to Fish Report Live, and thanks for joining us.
Hey guys. Hey, thanks for having me.
Well, listen, first of all, we mentioned congrats on the season so far, doing very well. Congrats on your second Shelby County Athletic League Player of the Year award. I know to get that, Hunter, it takes a lot of God-given talent, but it also takes a lot of hard work. And I want to ask you, what do you do extra, or what do you do off season to make you one of the better players in this area?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, it honestly all started with just throwing pitch and catch with Dad, and then you move on to T-ball, and then after T-ball, things got serious. Me and Dad had a conversation, and he played college ball himself, and I kind of wanted to follow that in the same passion. So we sat down and had a discussion, and then we decided to started taking lessons from different coaches. Some professional players like Craig Salmon, he came down a few times and was able to give me some guidance. And and then also after practice, extra swings, extra cuts, working on the form of the pitching. And here recently has been a weight room for me, trying to gain some weight before I go off on to college. So that's a little bit of what the hard work that it's taken to get me to where I am today.
Well, again, a lot of hard work and a lot of talent, and this senior class that you got this year is one that certainly has a lot of talent as well. Hunter, you've been playing ball with these guys since you were little kids, I guess. Can you tell me? Could you realize at an early age that maybe this group of boys, the seniors this year, were destined maybe for something big?
Well, I would say as we were younger, I feel like we were always the underdogs in the tournaments. I mean, everybody thinks they have to have all this talent, to win. But, hard work and, and just willing to want to be out there and win and be a competitor, I think that's where it all comes down to be. But this group has been a blast. So many memories, so many wins, so many trophies that we've won when we were younger. And, it's been a really nice group of guys to, share these memories with.
Hunter, hi, this is Ken. Let's talk a little bit about the underclassmen on the team. Russia was state runner-up last year, lost some very good seniors off of that team, but we had a really good nucleus returning. A couple juniors this year, Monyer and Kearns, both with some experience last year, but we had a lot of holes to fill. And those holes have been filled very well by some kids playing varsity baseball for the first time. Give us a little bit of insight on those guys, how the process works throughout the year, and the improvements you've seen.
Yeah. I want to mention two of them as juniors, the two guys that I think have really stepped up the game. But first, from the beginning, it all starts in the winter. I know these two have played basketball, but I knew as soon as basketball was over, they were able to dig right in, and they worked really hard. But I'm going to start off with Carter Francis. He's been an absolute monster at the plate this year. Kind of struggled a little bit in the beginning. I know there's kind of like that inexperience, pitching, coming from JV, to varsity and stepping right in. But he has fit in very nicely. I would say after the Anna game, the first time we played him, that would have been our fourth game. I don't know, the weather's been crazy, but I think it was the fourth game. And I think that was the big game that he got over, that hump or whatever, was put in a big spotlight. But I think after that, he was able to settle down a little bit and, be able to gain his composure, and he's gained a lot of confidence, and he's been a huge part of our lineup, batting in the 4-hole and driving in some runs. And the next one is going to be Will Sherman. He has been outstanding. He won the catcher's battle against him and Adam. Adam ended up hurting his shoulder, so Will was able to take that position. But I think he settled down a little bit. He found himself at the plate a little bit, and I think that took a lot of edge off him on the defense and being able to settle down and just being able to adjust to the game. And his defense has come a long way, and I think he's been doing a phenomenal job, and I couldn't be more happier about their performances.
Hunter, let's talk a little bit about the game Thursday afternoon. Russia Raiders looking for a repeat regional championship. In their first game, there's going to be against the Cincinnati Christian Cougars, a team obviously that most of our listeners don't know a whole lot about, including myself. What do you know about this team? What's it going to take for the Raiders to advance and play on Friday at 5 o'clock?
Yeah, Ken, I'm right there with you. We really have no idea. Got a little infield that they like to run a little bit. They got some guy, in the 40, another guy in the 30 stolen bases range. And I know that their top two hitters are like 500, and the other guy's like 480 or something like that. So it looks like they can play some ball a little bit. But for us, I think that we just need to get base. We just need to get base runners. We need to just be able to throw strikes and be efficient. But like I said, small ball. Dion leads us off. Small ball, and we'll hopefully in the middle of our lineup be able to drive in runs, and the bottom of our lineup is able to get on base, so the top of the lineup can do what we've been doing all year and driving in runs.
Hunter, this diamond you're playing on Thursday is the same diamond you played on last year. They're over at Wittenberg University against Fort Laramie and Newark Catholic. Tell me, is there any difference, or what is the difference between a diamond like that and, say, the other diamonds you've played on so far in the tournament or maybe during the regular season?
Well, that one's it's definitely bigger. It's definitely bigger, and it's a better facility. The stadium, just the whole atmosphere. You're playing at a university. Some of these kids haven't even played in that, and I think that just adds kind of to the tournament vibe. You know what I mean? Everybody's all fired up, and I think that just adds a little more to it. So.
Hunter, you'll be graduating this Sunday, hopefully still playing high school baseball for another week after that. But after that, you'll be off to Urbana for some college baseball. Tell us a little bit about that process. What made you choose Urbana, and what you're looking for, say, not looking past these last 2 weeks of the high school baseball season, but a little bit about your future.
Well, what I learned early what I learned later, I should say, is that during the recruiting process, at the beginning, it was all about, going Division I, and, that's a great goal and stuff, and, being able to go to a bigger school. But you also learn that you want to be able to find what school is best for you and what shoes they need to be filled and what shoes that, what you want to be able to do and be able to play there, as soon as you get there, or at least have an opportunity to. And that is what Urbana has given me. I'm going to be able to I'm going to be a dual guy there. I'm going to be able to pitch and hit there. That's what they recruited me for, and I was able to get some money for it too. But you want to go to somewhere where they want you, and they expressed a lot of interest in me, and I think it's a great fit for me there too.
Well, listen, Hunter, that's great stuff. Congratulations on 4 great years of high school baseball. I remember you coming up as a freshman very, very well, of course, because had an older son on that team back then, and it was kind of neat because I feel that he kind of brought you along. Now I kind of thank you for bringing the younger one along as well as the rest of the younger kids on this team. So you've been a very valuable asset to the team. Congratulations, and good luck this weekend. Hopefully the Raiders can get 2 more wins, and we'll head back to Columbus the following weekend.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Hunter.
Thanks, Hunter. All right, and that was Russia Senior and 2-time Shelby County Athletic League Player of the Year, Hunter Cohee. One junior we didn't talk about on there, Ken, because we don't want to jinx the guy, is, of course, the one sitting out there in the sound room, and that's our Daniel Kearns out there. And, of course, you saw Cohee on there stroking a base hit to right field. So everybody contributed this season, and don't like to put any pressure on those guys out in studio or out there. Yeah. So we don't like to talk about them when we don't have to.
That's right. But, no, and seriously, it has been a great, great team effort this year. Like Hunter said, we've gotten phenomenal play. We've had great kids improve throughout the year, and it's just been fun to watch this team mature and get better and play as a team all year.
All right, well, let's before we wrap things up tonight, let's go back to the sound room there, and I'm happy to say that I got 3 guys here in the studio with me that have sons that are playing on the team. The game we've been talking about, we got a couple guys again out there in Studio R that are playing as well, and I know you're all heading down to Wittenberg probably nice and early. I know you guys like to get settled in and probably do a little bit of tailgating. TK and Heavy D, you guys plan on taking off plenty early?
Oh, yeah, we might get down there a little early. Going to pack up a nice picnic lunch, some sodas and lemonade. It's supposed to be a beautiful afternoon, so we'll lounge around in the sun and get mentally prepared for what should be a fun afternoon.
Yeah, I'll probably go to the game as well. Probably going to slip into work a little bit tomorrow morning and then head down there and see what's going on. I don't know, maybe hang around for the, depending on the outcome of the Russia Cincinnati Christian game, maybe hang around for that Minster-Laramie game.
I'm with you there, Heavy D.
That should be a real good matchup.
Absolutely.
Should be a lot of fun. As a matter of fact, one thing we didn't mention, but we did post today on the Fish Report website, was that a couple of those coaches in that late game that are facing each other, and we've talked about this on the show before, were actually teammates once upon a time back in Heavy D's days there at University of Dayton.
That's right. Lived with Coach Sanders and palled around a little bit with Coach Wiss and Coach Harleman. I think in that picture also was Big Dog, wasn't it?
Big Dog was on there as well.
Yeah, so I hung out with Big Dog down there at the University of Dayton. He was at every sporting event possible, and real good crew there.
All right, guys, well, hang in there. We're going to do one more thing, and that is get to tonight's poll question. Ken, why don't you read that for our viewers again?
Well, we're going to go out to the sound room and ask TK what our listeners are showing out there. But which of these 4 teams do you feel will survive the Division IV Southwest Regional? Will it be Cincinnati Christian, Fort Loramie, Minster, or Russia? TK, what are they saying out there?
Well, the telemetrics are hometown favorites tonight at 85% are voting for our Russia Raiders to be victorious through this next 2 days and moving on again to Columbus and Clipper Stadium.
Well, that'll be. I hope they're right.
It'll be a lot more fun.
You're going to have to earn it, that's for sure.
That's
Anyone
right,
that
boy.
gets there is going to have to earn it.
Nothing's going to come easy for sure. And if the Raiders can get a win on at the 2:00 game, there's one thing that's guaranteed, and either the Shelby County League or the MAC will be represented in Columbus,
as it should be. All right, that's going to wrap it up for us tonight, guys. Special thanks to our guest, Hunter Cohee, for joining us on the show. Thanks to the viewers out there for tuning in once again. Ken and I and the crew will all be back again next week for the season finale of Fish Report Live. Can't believe we're going to be wrapping up season 7, but we will, and hope you tune in for that. Until then, have a great rest of the week. Hope to see you at the Ball Diamond, and good night, everyone.
Hanging at the Fish Report. 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 For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the Fish Report. Don't need no bait, don't need no pull when you tune in to the Fish Report.